Okay, so hello and welcome to this video tutorial for how to use the equation editor in Microsoft. Um, Before we get into it here, I just wanted to say I feel like this is quite an underrated skill. I feel like I see a lot of people using this tool, and frankly, I see them using it wrong. I can kind of say that they're using it wrong because I have quite a lengthy experience with this tool in Microsoft um, through my teaching career, creating quite long and quite complicated formations using this tool. So what I see a lot of people kind of doing is, for starters, if they want to create an equation, let's say in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or Outlook or whatever, they'll go to the Insert tab and they'll click on this equation button. And then let's say they wanted superscript, they click on this button here. If they wanted a square root, they'd click on this button here. Or if they wanted a trigonometric function, they'd click on this button here. When really you don't need to do any of that. And frankly, if you're doing any kind of pointing and clicking with this tool, you're using it wrong, or at least in my view. For starters, then, before we start, make sure that when you're using the equation editor here, you have Unicode selected here when you have the equation editor open, so that everything that we're about to do works. For starters, then, you don't need to go to the Insert tab at all. If you're going to memorize any shortcut in Microsoft Word, my favorite one is this. It's Alt equals. So just hold down the Alt button and press equals, and that gives you the equation editor here. Text offsets, what I mean by that is subscript and superscript. If I want superscript, imagine you're writing some code. If you wanted y squared in your code, you might type it out like this, right? Well, you can type that here, and now notice what happens when you press space. The editor automatically creates superscript for you, right? Same deal for subscript. How might you write subscript if you're writing some code? Well, it might look something like this, right? A underscore C if I wanted A subscript C. And again, when I just press space here, I've got A subscript C, right? Trigonometry. So again, you don't need to use these buttons here at all. If I just type in sine and press space, notice that the editor automatically recognizes this idea and has created a sine function here. If you prefer to have brackets in your notation, another way to do this is type in sine open bracket. And you can notice that the editor has recognized that as a function because the italics has kind of gone, right? So the italics goes away when you're using trigonometric functions. Same for logarithms. Oh, before we move on to logarithms, I should say, if you want a squared version or a cubed version of a trigonometric function, you can kind of combine ideas here from the text offsetting we did earlier. So let's say we wanted sine squared of something. Well, I can just type in hat 2, and that gives me sine squared. Logarithms. So if I type in log and press space, it gives me a logarithm. Again, we can kind of combine this text offsetting idea with logarithms if I wanted a specific base for my logarithm. So let's say I wanted log base 10. I could go log underscore 10, and it gives me log base 10. The equation editor also recognizes the natural log here, which is very helpful. And this, if you want brackets in your notation, it recognizes that as well. Fractions. How would you write a fraction if you're writing some code? Well, if you wanted 3/5, you might write it like that. Again, when you just press space, it gives you a fraction here automatically. Brackets. So brackets are something that people still use wrong, even though all you need to do is type them. And let me explain how. So let's say we want quite a simple kind of factorized expression here. So let's say we have 7 brackets x plus 1. This isn't actually quite correct, or at least not in my view anyway, my kind of pedantic view. After you write brackets in the equation editor, always press space. Now, you might not have noticed it, but this actually does two things, right? The first thing is it formats the brackets correctly. It's quite subtle with that one, but I'll show you in just a sec that actually it can sometimes not be so subtle. And number two is that it's treating the bracket now as a single unit, right, which is quite convenient. If I were to type out the same thing, 7 x plus 1, but I haven't pressed space, it's not treating the brackets as a single unit. But here, after when I've pressed space after the brackets, it does. So always press space after you've put brackets into your equations in the equation editor. Just to show off what happens with the formatting here, let's say I've got 6/7 inside some brackets. Notice after I've typed that in, the brackets look crap. The brackets aren't kind of encompassing the whole fraction. The way around that is just press space, and now the brackets are formatted correctly. So always develop a habit of pressing space after you've used the brackets in the equation editor. You can also use brackets to nest expressions inside larger expressions in the equation editor. So let's say I wanted this x to the y plus 1 idea here. Well, if I type in x to the y plus 1, that's not going to work. Okay. If I wanted x to the y plus 1, the way I'd do that is I'd go x hat y plus 1 and type the y plus 1 in brackets, then press space. The brackets go away and the y plus 1 expression goes into the superscript there. Same idea for if you want a fraction inside the exponent, for example, here. If I were to type in y to the 1 over 3, that ain't going to work. The way to do that is to type in y to the and put the third inside the brackets here, and then press space, and you've got y to the third. Same deal when you're dealing with fractions, maybe with multiple terms inside the numerator or the denominator here. The way to do that is to type each part of the fraction inside a set of brackets, just like this, just like you would in code, and then just press space. Backslash stuff. So a lot of people don't realize that this exists in the equation editor, which is criminal because they're wasting a lot of their time clicking these silly buttons up here when they really don't need to. So square roots, for example, if you want a square root, it's backslash sqrt, press space, and then whatever you want inside the square root, you can just write in brackets. So here I want a squared plus b squared. I can just write that inside the brackets, press space, and I've got my root a squared plus b squared. If I want a cube root, it's cbrt. If I want a nth root, it's a little bit more complicated, and there are two ways to do it. The way I find myself doing it is backslash sqrt, and then I'd open brackets and go n and x here, and then press space, and that's how you do it. Another way for the nth root of something is to use backslash root. If I go backslash root, press space, I want the nth root, backslash of, and then whatever I want the nth root of in brackets. So here it's a squared plus b squared, press space, and I've got that there. This is a structure that I use quite a lot. It's backslash sdiv. So here if I go a backslash sdiv space b space, that gives me this fraction, which can be very, very helpful if you're looking for some kind of vertical room with your equations, just because the kind of default fraction is quite tall. I don't know if I can show it here. Yeah, it's quite tall. If you want an integral with bounds, it's backslash int space, and we can use this text offset idea. So I'd go subscript a, subscript b, press space, and I've got those bounds there. Sigma notation. For sigma notation here, it is \sum. So if I go \sum, press space, and I go superscript n, subscript brackets k equals 1, space, and it gives me my Sigma notation there. More backslash stuff. When you're looking for particular symbols, you don't need to go up here at all. So some of the symbols that I use the most include \times. So when I press space here, this just gives me the multiplication symbol. What else do I use? I use \approx quite a lot. What else do I use? I use \not equal to, \equiv for trigonometric identities. There's all kinds of symbols that you can use here. Can't think of any other ones for the moment. I'll show you how to find these shortcuts in just a moment. Greek letters. So a quick thing on Greek letters. Let's say I want pi. \pi, press space, gives me pi. Okay. If I wanted capital Pi, so this is actually lowercase pi here, but if I wanted the uppercase version of pi, it's going to be \P I, press space, and that gives me the uppercase version of pi. Okay, works for all the Greek letters. If I go \omega, that's the lowercase omega. If I go \O omega, that gives me the uppercase omega. Okay, and then finally accents. So one of the accents I use quite commonly is the \dot accent. So let's say I wanted 0.3 recurring. How I could do that is I could go \dot 3 \dot. And now if I just press space, I need to press space twice for this. It gives you 0.3 recurring there. Another one I use is the hat. So if I go \hat, press space twice again, it gives me this little hat. And another one I use quite a lot for vector notation is the underbar. So if I wanted vector AB, I could write AB in brackets here, \u bar, space again, gives me vector AB here. So you might be thinking, what if I don't know the shortcut for a particular symbol or for a particular operator or accent or anything like this? Well, if I go, this is when you might actually want to use the equation editor tab, is you can go in, hover over what you want, and notice here it's telling me if I want the multiplication symbol, it's \times, or if I want this arrow here, it's \right arrow, or \2. If I want row, it's \row, and so on and so forth. Doesn't tell you all of them, but if you want to find out more specific ones, obviously you can Google it, you can ask ChatGPT or whatever and see what happens. Okay, so if you want to get some practice in, I'm just going to kind of leave this on the screen here. If you want to pause the video, please do, and have a practice. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this video and I hope you've learned some useful tips here. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section down below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching.